Hood. We are live. I came on a little bit early to check the streams. So let's see what we got going on here. So that looks like it's live there. Let's pray that. Ooh, I think I'll be able to see my Facebook page stream. Let's see. Yes. Yes, that will be phenomenal. So just waiting for everybody to pop on and checking the settings. So I'll repeat this, but we're actually taking my router for its inaugural journey into streaming. So I have no idea how this is going to work. So if you are here, pop on, say hello so that I know you're here and that you can hear me and it's all good. Good morning, Angela. Good to see you. And yes, it's morning for you. It's 4:30 in the afternoon for me. I'm doing well. We have our air back here in Chicago. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but we have had just horrendous air. Hi, Richard. Hope you're well. Sound and picture are good. Yay. Thank you. Because this is my router's inaugural visit. I got a new router. So I'm hoping that suddenly I don't get those crazy messages that say your stream is wonky or whatever. We shall see. So good to see you. How's everybody doing? How's it I think it's New Zealand, and how is it in Canada? Any better with the fires there, Richard? I know I have this terrible delay on my channel. By the way, today's drink of choice in my I guess I showed it. So hey, Starbucks, I'm promoting in my Starbucks cup, but it happens to be ginger tea with a touch of ginger tea with cinnamon spice from another different tea bag. So a few smoky days in Ontario. We had, so a couple of days ago, Chicago had the worst air quality in the entire world. We had our AQI, or air quality index, was like 253 or something like that, which is just shy of hazardous. That was some good fun. It smelled like a giant campfire for three days. But I don't think New Zealand is Angela, are you affected by any of this? I don't think so. I think it's just kind of coming our way. Anyway, well, let's I suppose we can start and introduce. We'll gather up steam as we go. This is a holiday weekend, so I don't know who's going to be here, who's not going to be here. So you got to make yourself known if you're watching. It looks like there's more people watching than are saying anything, but that's okay too. So welcome to everyone who's here, whether you decide to say anything or not. And I know that my mom's out there somewhere. And Mom, I'll be able to see your comments on the page, or at least in theory. Let me just double check, make sure that is happening on my page and what's happening over there. Let's see. Oh, these are just all you lovely people saying hello to me, which is amazing. Let's see. Can't even find my page right now. That's not funny. That's crazy. It's asking me what's on my mind, but I can't even find it on my phone. I'll have to go on my on my computer just to make sure. Oh, this tech is great. Oh, Angela, sorry. Didn't say that you responded. Hi. You're not lots of rain there. Yeah, it's terrible here. I had the blinds closed and then I had no light in here. Um, we're um, we're getting bad in here. So anyway, well, I'm just going to jump in because we have kind of some fun stuff to talk about today, or at least I think it's fun because it's a little bit different. It's a little walk on the wild side for me. But that's okay. It's what I see, and I just have to kind of share it. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and happy end of your week or beginning of your weekend if it's Saturday. Welcome to TGIF for the Curious and Enlightened end of the week wrap up for, well, it's June 30th, so we're about to go into July. Happy Canada Day for those in Canada on July 1st. And then, of course, here in the US, this is kind of the start to the July 4th holiday. So I'm your host, Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight, and hope everybody is doing well. It's an interesting time out there in the world right now, but it it at least for me, there were some really interesting shifts this week. So as we gather steam for today, I just really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank everyone who was here for the show last week, the Pride show. Um, it meant a lot to have a platform to honor my friend David. And I also want to thank those who donated to the Human Rights Campaign via my support. I have a virtual tip jar. You can find it on YouTube. Um, but I asked people to donate, and so I ended up forwarding $160 to the Human Rights Campaign. So I'm very happy to do that. So I appreciate your support more than you know. I know David would have been here with me just cracking up. It would have been great. So, as I said, I'm excited to take my new router for a spin. So, you're saying it's all good. Even my mom, hi, mom, welcome. Oh my gosh, now you're on YouTube, mom. You could. So, I took my mom to lunch and I grabbed her phone and I set her up on YouTube so she can watch from YouTube, because sometimes we don't get, like last week, Facebook didn't connect. I contacted the folks here at Restream, my platform where I stream from, and they're like, yeah, sometimes it gets wonky and glitchy, and especially with energy work. So I'm glad that you're here. And yeah, I'm happy to have the new router. It's like lightning fast. And like, here's the old one. I don't even know if you could see all the dust on it. And I dusted it like every day. And there's so much dust. This thing, oh my gosh, this took me through so much, that old router. And it was interesting that when I went to unplug the old one, and it's a router. I mean, I've changed routers before, but I looked at it and I got a little bit nostalgic. Is that, it doesn't work anymore, and this took me through so much. It was like kind of my first upgraded router and everything, but there was a lifetime of energy on it, it seemed. So I realized that, I got to walk my talk, right? So I looked at the router, I extended my gratitude, I grounded it, I cleared all the old energy out, wished it well on its next journey to be recycled, and that was that. Unplugged it, and we were all good. So that's a thing. Are our objects, those things we're surrounded by, they pick up energy. So especially technology like that, as a psychic and clairvoyant, when I have my energy going, I blow out light bulbs. I go through batteries like there's no tomorrow. It's crazy what I go through. So when technology goes, I kind of get it. But everything, all our objects, like we put our energy in it. There's a ton of energy. So one of the ways you can tell how much of your energy is tied into something is how you react when you decide to move on. I mean, I just went to unplug the thing and went, "Whoa, hold up. There's a lot of energy there." So let's clear it so that we can move on cleanly. And it doesn't matter whether it's an object or an old car or old computer, old piece of technology, any kind of thing. Um, and so Angela says, I turn my Wi-Fi off every night. Yeah, well, that's probably good anyway. I mean, it is electrical current. I don't do that. I keep telling myself I should, but I don't. Richard does that also. Yeah, I mean, it's electrical. It goes through the air, right? Especially Wi-Fi connects our devices. It goes through us too. So, but any kind of thing, even if it's cleaning out your closets, that's why people have a hard time cleaning out their closets or throwing out old things, is because they're filled with energy and it can be overwhelming. So if you're gonna get rid of things, or you want to do a feng shui clean out or any kind of thing like that, give yourself a moment to reflect on the experiences linked to whatever it is. So, has anybody had that experience? To a bit of sadness, even though there's an excitement about the new shiny object or the new thing, or making more space for yourself. Has anyone ever experienced that? Because that's time when you need to call your energy back. Yeah. So it's a thing. It's a thing. Mm. I know I'm so thirsty today. I don't know why. It's been hot here today. So here I am in Chicago, and is anybody into NASCAR that's on right now? Because if you're into NASCAR races begin tomorrow here in the city. So if you want to see our beautiful city showcased in an amazing fashion, I'm sure they're going to have drones and all kinds of things. Yeah, Richard, you've been purging a lot lately. It's seriously. I have a cat hair. Cat hair and lipstick just do not go on. It's actually that kind of time. I'm finding myself wanting to purge a lot of stuff. So we're unloading energy. Think of it that way. Angela, I've always told to be careful buying items from thrift stores. They can carry other people's energy. Um, so yes, they can, but once you buy it, you own it, right? And you move your energy in. Uh, And here's the advice if you shop at thrift stores. I've never been good at shopping at thrift stores because I can feel the energy in there. So I totally understand what you're talking about. Um, I have shopped in thrift stores. I have a girlfriend who is like the master of thrift store shoppers. So it doesn't seem to bother her. But here's the thing. You're probably not going to be attracted to something that has a lot of someone else's energy on it. Like we just wouldn't be attracted to it to even go purchase it. So that's what I'll say. But yes, it's true that things can carry other people's energy, but we can ground it out if we own the thing that we're looking at, or we want to buy. That's the big deal, right? It's not about not buying it. It's about owning it for ourselves. And that goes with anything else. That goes with our energy, just owning our energy. It goes for everything. I mean, life itself, because there is so much energy around. We're going to talk about that too, Angela. It's interesting that we're talking about this because I'm going to be talking about psychic awareness, and in some ways, that's what we're talking about when I'm talking about objects picking up energy, and we become aware of that energy. So if you're shopping, just go ahead and buy it, but really own it for yourself, and you'll know. You're not going to be, you wouldn't be attracted to something that potentially has a lot of someone else's energy on it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, my psychic 2 cents about that. So yeah. So goodness, we have NASCAR starting here, and the city is a buzz. But can you imagine? And what's fun? We go from thrift store to NASCAR. We go soup to nuts here. It's great. But the most fun thing is as they're showcasing Chicago. You're very welcome, Angela. I hope you find something super cool. As they showcase Chicago, the most fun. It started last weekend, and I am so enjoying, like, and I hate to be, I'm not trying to be sexist here, but I've only seen the male sports sports reporters. I haven't seen any female as yet reporting on this NASCAR. I will, I'm sure, but I haven't seen it yet. Um, I have been watching them. They're so much fun. They are geeking out to no end. And there's nothing like enthusiasm to make other people enthusiastic, right? So it's been very fun to watch them, as they showcase the city, as they talk about, where the race is going to be. But it's super fun to experience the energy of excitement. And it is really like you can feel it in the air here. Of course, half of us are like, oh my God, the traffic, it's terrible because they closed off a bunch of streets. It's a street race. But we all need something to look forward to in life. And that's how we, in some ways, stay mentally healthy, um, alive, and in a space of wanting to kind of be here. So um, we need something to. Hello, Anessa. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. So when we sometimes we get so caught up in our thoughts, and when that happens, we kind of lose a little bit of our awareness around us. But as far as excitement, what excites you the most? Like in life, is it scheduling a vacation? Is it energy work? Is it? I have a client that is. About to embark on, kind of moving to a farm setting, and they just love to garden in their beautiful gardens. And all of that, when we do things that excite us, when we create from that place, that creates a healing in every way, shape, and form. Yeah. So all of life really has a lot to do with what we can create. So what excites you, whether it's looking forward to something, or I don't know, it can really be anything. I'll be curious to hear from you as we move through today and check out, kind of these various like psychic awarenesses and things like that. Because if you notice what excites you, you're going to notice how your energy looks. Because when we're excited about something, our energy starts to come back to us. We really get that nice feeling, that nice healing. Yeah. So if you've experienced that, drop a comment. And it looks like we're getting stuff from, I don't really get excited anymore about anything outside of, but are you excited about work? If you're excited about work, that's where your passion lies. That's where you like to express yourself, and nothing wrong with, because you're a teacher, so there's nothing wrong with that. That's a what an amazing space to be nurturing and growing as you nurture and grow the kids. Yeah, whatever age they. I think you said you're with younger kids. Um, but yeah, well, look at me. I'm sitting here at 4:30, well, almost 5 o'clock on a Friday night. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Sharing this with all of you because that's my passion. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's the thing, is we need to create something or create a space for getting excited. Yeah. Richard, are you doing anything for Canada Day? Just curious what you have planned. I'm not doing anything for the 4th of July really. I'm hunkering down because with this NASCAR race, I may go somewhere on Sunday. We'll see what the traffic pattern looks like. Because it could be a lot. There's a lot of people descending on the city. So excellent. So this week's wrap up, and you can still drop, talk about whatever, comes to mind. If you have any questions, you can drop those in the comments because I want to see. This is all about our energy. School just finished yesterday. Yeah. So congratulations. Now you get to get your energy back for the summer. I don't know how long you have off there. Here, it would be till probably mid or late August. But yeah, this is your time to mm, just get your energy back. And I just finished all those classes last week, and boy, this week I just didn't want to really commit to anything. I did. I took care of business, but it was amazing how I get the discombobulated. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. Angela looks forward to. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I appreciate you being here. I love when you pop on. It's great. I honestly, Angela, and everyone, this is not something that I just take lightly. I actually sort of plan for this. I want to have a message for you. I want to give you some information. And so, Angela, thank you so much for saying that. That's so wonderful, and I love having you here. So thanks for being here. So yeah, for the weekly wrap up. Well, gosh, we all know about the wildfires and in Canada. Um, did a little bit of research. There's so many different theories and conspiracy theories. Here's what I'm going to say about it, and then that's it, because we're not going into conspiracy theories. Well, because the last thing I'm going to talk about might be a conspiracy theory. I don't know. You'll discern that for yourself. But the one thing, and I think I said it on last week's show as well, that with the smoke coming from Canada and affecting the cities in the US, if nothing else, this really brings our attention to the fact that we are all in this together. Everything from one country affects another country, affects another country, and it just moves on and on and on. It's a wake up call about climate change, because these storms, actually the theory on this big fire, or I don't know if it was several or what, but that it was a lightning strike that happens in the big forests. And so that's all about climate change. We're all in this together. And it really illustrates it when Chicago has the worst air quality in the world from a fire in Canada. We're pretty far away. We don't even have the same Great Lake. We've got Lake Michigan. And so it's really, it's something to think about and to really put our mind to. The other thing that I've been noticing this week is a very interesting energy around sleep, but not like a disturbed sleep or I can't sleep or in general. There's like something going on. Back in New York. Well, it's here too, but then it's 90 degrees now here. So hopefully, in swarms of insects. Oh, we're experiencing the plagues again? Interesting. Hmm, go figure. No karma there. That's, right? The insects, the darkness, oh God, I didn't even think of that. The darkness, right? The smoke caused darkness, and now you're having swarms of insects. Holy cow. Oh my God. This is, this is what happens when you're born into a Jewish body and you have some of this information. But oh my gosh, what a tie-in, and then the storms and every other thing. No wonder. Well, the energy, the bottom line is, and I hope that all clears up. I'm not laughing at you, Maria. I'm laughing because I actually hadn't made that connection until just now. um, but yeah, that's a really interesting thing. So boy, are you going to love the end part, Richard. I hope you can stay with us because we are going to talk about those timelines later. And that is actually what the show is almost about, is what I've been noticing about the timelines and the dimensions and what's going on there. And I think you'll all love it. But the sleep patterns, Angela too, sleep patterns all over the place, quite strange. Yeah, I have been getting up at like 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I am an 8 hour, well, okay, 7 hour sleeper, 7 to 8 hours. And oh my gosh, I'm waking up after 6 hours as if I had 12 hours sleep, and I'm totally awake and the energy feels alive. And I know that's not just NASCAR being here. This is something going on in the astral. We There's an energy coming in despite the what we you might be seeing in the news, um, about these things. Just hang on to the fact there's this beautiful light and this beautiful energy coming in. But and I think that's futzing with people with their sleep patterns. And I'm seeing it on I've read at least like 10 people's friends posts about it as well, getting up in the morning. It's just been really, really strange. So, from Maria's from Catholic and read a little of the Revelation as a kid. Yeah, no fear there in Revelation. Actually, when I actually wrote a whole piece about Revelations as a psychic woman, I read it and I wrote a piece about it when I was studying, when I was in a psychic school. And it's quite interesting, the representations in the book of Revelations. I won't take on the Bible, though, not quite yet. You never know when I will. Look for that show. It might be interesting. But there's been a lot going on in the news, lots with sleep patterns, but just recognize that what's going on has a lot to do with the astral and this new light that's coming in. And in fact, I got a couple of messages. There was somebody that messaged me earlier today from Ireland, and I don't know if she's on and watching, but if you are, hi Yvonne. But yeah, I got a message about that she's had some new things. In fact, I had a day that went so well that it shocked me. And I realized it was after I had this kind of early awakening. No metaphor there, right? Early awakening. And it was after this like sort of exciting day, and everybody was so nice and so happy and so smiling. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? This is this is not what I'm used to. So, yep, there's a beautiful new light coming in. So just be aware, because that light, it's already here. And that's a lot about kind of what's going on in the week. This seems to have come on. The energy seems to have shifted somewhere between Tuesday and Wednesday, is what I'm thinking. I don't know if you noticed anything about that, but between Tuesday and Wednesday, it seems to have shifted. So that's the energy kind of wrap up for the week. I mean, there's so much that I only want to highlight a few things, because I really, really want to get to psychic awareness. This is the subject of the day, psychic awareness. So human consciousness is really fascinating, isn't it? It's a fun thing to kind of watch and study. And it's not just human consciousness, but human beings. I remember when I was 16 and I used to go to the airport and just people watch. I really enjoyed watching, those who were present, those who had their heads somewhere else. Um, but of course, I know now, and I must have been older than 16, because I drove there with my friend, and these were in the days before all the security. You could actually go to the airport, sit by the by the planes and everything like that. It was a kinder, gentler time, apparently. But we used to do that. But what I realize now that was happening then is I was actually, in some ways, practicing my awareness, my psychic awareness, practicing watching people go through their own thing, right? And as Richard said, it's fun watching people and imagining their stories. Yes, of course we would make up stories. That's amazing. Yeah, we would of course make up stories. That's why it was always good fun with a friend, because we'd kind of pick on, some guy in a weird suit, or whatever, and make up a beautiful story. But people watching, in some ways, is psychic awareness. It's us being aware of that person's energy, how they're carrying themselves, what we notice about themselves. We are, and we're aware of our physical surroundings, right? But how conscious and aware are we? That's a that's a big question. Yeah. So psychic awareness is not about, let's say, what our bodies are going through or what we are looking at physically with the person. It's the thing that we see that we may not even recognize that we see about that person. It's the ability to tap into the unseen with the physical eyes world around us. It's the power to sense things beyond our five senses. Yeah, I mean, that's why it's called the sixth sense. So there's so much bombarding our senses at any given time that we tend to filter out a lot of the information. That's what makes, when we go to a psychic, or I mean, I do readings, obviously, and healings and things like that, but whether it's me, or whether you go to, Corby, or Lewis, or any one of my other colleagues, it doesn't even matter, right? um Andy Brewer, Sloan Bella, any of these folks, what we're doing is we have to filter out a lot of the extraneous noise. That's part of having psychic awareness. Yeah. But no one is aware 100% of the time. Think of it this way. Um, how many times have you walked down the street in deep thought, and you're really not noticing, your surroundings. Just think back to a time. Have you ever been walking down the street, or worse, driving in a car, and suddenly you get to your destination and don't remember how you got there? Right? That's an interesting awareness, because we are actually lost in our thoughts. And there's a reason we use that phrase, lost in thought, because when we're lost in our thoughts, we're in our minds entertaining pictures that aren't even real. It would be like watching a movie. They're not even real. And yet this cup that I can hold or take a drink out of, well, everything is really an illusion, but this is a very physical, I can touch this. What's in my mind is just an illusion. And psychic awareness is the ability to perceive that information beyond the touch, right? But also recognize what are our thoughts, what are not our thoughts. So being psychic, everybody's got this natural ability, but there's so much more to it than making predictions or knowing the future. So many times it gets meshed in with oh, I got to know the future, or I have to talk to my relative, my loved one who's transitioned. And by the way, I'm not poo-pooing people who predict the future. There are incredible psychics who do that. There's incredible mediums who, James Van Praagh, or was it John Edwards, or Jay Lane. There's so many amazing, talented mediums. But again, they have their psychic awareness is about what they're aware of. So this is an important, kind of distinction, because how can we have awareness or clarity if we're not even aware of where our bodies are, because we're lost in thought? So most people understand intuition, but most people don't see it like a muscle that can be built up. That is a great comment. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because there's a really important word that you used in there, and you're absolutely right. People understand intuition, but intuition, uh, well, let me back up. Understanding means intellectualizing. And intuition is a thing that we have, that, yes, we can grow, we can use it and practice it. And the more we do that, the more clear we become. Most people, and it's so perfect, Richard, most people understand intuition. In other words, they intellectualize intuition. And you can't do that. You can get that sense, that feeling. And by the way, there's all kinds of different kinds of intuition as well. But here is what happens when we understand, or we are perceiving all this stuff that's coming at us. We don't always know how to process or what to make of what we are aware of. It's very overwhelming. So the more aware we are, and the more in tune, and the more we notice even about our surroundings, yeah, the more we become aware of, right? We have we are in an age where we are being bombarded, right? And so we have to kind of focus out, or not focus out, but learn to, well, we're going to talk about this, kind of be the observer. All of our five senses gather a ton of data, but our intellectual brain, and thank you, Richard, that was a perfect segue for this, filters, processes, and interprets the information. But it goes through filters of our past experiences, our beliefs, our like cultural conditioning, and the programming. All of that gets in the way of our awareness. So what ends up happening, and you see this a lot when people who haven't been practiced, who don't meditate, but want to do psychic work and things like that, or just want to hang their psychic towel out or whatever, their banner. What happens if we don't clear those filters is that our awareness tends to focus on what's relevant for us, and we filter out or downplay what is not. I'm going to repeat that. We focus on, if we don't clear and focus and really turn our attention within ourselves, we kind of throw out what is not important to us, what doesn't uh, apply to us. So this is something to think about. Yeah. Even that is intellectual thinking, but what I'm doing here is I'm kind of opening a perspective here, because when we're aware and we're using our psychic tools, we do not judge. We don't decide what's best for others. And while we can potentially predict a future, it's a lot more fun, and I can tell you this, to actually look with the intent to see, not with the intent to future. It's a space of openness, neutrality, and non-judgment. So it's about us stepping back and becoming an observer and a seer instead of a doer. So why doesn't everybody just give themselves a big breath and just say hello to your body? I'm not even doing the meditation yet, but there is so much energy. As I'm talking, I'm like, it's like a balloon building and building. And so what is your sense of your awareness? What is the thing that for you kind of takes you out of that space, or to grow that space? What is your experience with the psychic? Is it something somebody told you, or something somebody read in a book how to do it? Because one of the best ways, and I'll give you time to kind of jot some things down, but one of the best ways to increase your awareness is through meditation, so that you can end up focusing. This is one of the reasons I do these reset meditations on the TGIF at the end, right? Because every time you do a reset and then let go, you create more space to have more awareness and to use your abilities, or as Richard said, work it out like a muscle. It is. I go to the gym, I work out. If I don't practice my craft, it never goes anywhere. And I'll tell you something. So my nephew plays the tuba. He actually just got his doctorate, doctorate of musical arts. And one of the things he said to me, I swear it was like I got gobsmacked in the face with it. He said, well, you have to practice your craft every day. So if you want to be psychic and not just intellectualize your awareness, you're going to want to practice every single day. It really shifted, because I had kind of, maybe I, wandered away. I might not meditate every day, but boy, my nephew said that to me. So thank you, Jacob. Shout out to Jacob. Richard said, that makes sense. We see things that support our reality and discard what is not. Yep. Yep, there it is. It's amazing. Think about how much you've discarded in your life because it didn't apply to you. So yeah, you gotta clear the the energy. There are not only a select few people who have this gift. This is a part of our natural inner resources. Most of us turned it off after a time because, we might have seen something and said something, and our, mom said or dad said, oh, that's not there, or you don't, you know, you don't, you're not seeing that. Or a lot of times it'll be about another person. Oh, that man is sad. No, he's not. Mind your own business. Right. And so we turn it off. Uh, and there are many different kinds of awarenesses and abilities. There's clear cognizance, knowing something without knowing how we know it. There's clear audience, clear hearing of energy. Can we hear the communications properly from people? Yeah. Yes. It is hard because you become overwhelmed. But here's the thing, and I teach this. I should find this meditation and see if I can uh, put it out here somewhere. This is so, yes, one of the things that you have to learn, and I'm not going to say is how to protect your space, because that's resistance. That's out of resistance. We're going to let go of resistance today during the meditation. But if you're super sensitive to energy and you become overwhelmed, what you have to learn to do is really own your space and not, let's say, become affected. Because if when we become overwhelmed, what's happening is we're taking on all those other energies and trying to solve them or fix them out of our space, um, or we become a victim to those energies. So it's about being senior to what you're experiencing. And I know many, many, many sensitive people, and Richard, you are absolutely one of them. It is overwhelming, and sometimes that's why we like our homes, and sometimes we need that time. But let me see if I can. Let me find this. So if you joined late or you're hanging out with us, which I love, thank you all for being here. Um, if you want, I have some free guided meditations, because the more you do these kinds of meditations, the more you're going to own your space and clear everyone else's energy out, and the faster you're going to release that overwhelm, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So you can actually point to that QR code on here, or just go to my website, spiritlightinsight.com. And there's a whole page. I've got some of the featured, I'm starting to do meditations and leave them up on YouTube. So for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Debbie Tatel and I'm with Spirit Light Insight, and welcome to TGIF for the Curious and Enlightened. So I hope that helps. And you are free on these meditation archives. You can listen, you can download them and keep them, you can share them. They're all on SoundCloud. So feel free to just go grab a meditation. If also you become overwhelmed, there might be some pictures that you're working on. You are welcome to book a session or sign up for a program or classes or whatever. I've got psychic healing class coming up in September. I know it's a while away, but I'll be letting you all know about that so that you can jump on board. Again, these are just QR codes. You can go to spiritlightinsight.com/book dash. I think it's I don't remember my. Let's see. What is my booking? Oh, here, online booking. It's spiritlightinsight.com/online dash booking. And you can book a reading or see what there is to offer there. Um, hey, Julia Harrell, my inspiration for the YouTube shorts. Oh my God, this woman, Julia Harrell's a spiritual development coach, and my friend and colleague. And thank you for being here, Julia. I appreciate you being here. Oh yeah, for those of you who are watching this on Stars, so and we had a little confusion last week, but there's like a little star next to the comment, and you can actually support the stream by clicking on the star. I think it's like 99 cents for 100 stars or something like that, but their digital gift and whatever. It's, look, I'm not, it's like a penny that I get or something like that. But you can click the stars if you're on Facebook. If you are on YouTube, let me put a and you like what's going on here and you want to support the stream with a virtual tip, you can just kind of see that little QR code. You can point your phone there and click, and it'll take you to a virtual tip jar, and there's always, if you can't get to that, in the corner here, you see that little guy there, that's also the same as the QR code that you're looking at there, but it's pretty and it's got little hearts on it and things like that. So anyway, it's all greatly appreciated, any of that, because I do put my heart and soul here for you. So, but yeah, nothing can be further from the truth than there's only a select few. We need to practice and turn on and tune into the abilities that we might have left behind when we were a little kid, just because of practicality, and that we made things very, very real instead of imagining and daydreaming and just letting ourselves just be and imagine and just create in our minds. Yeah. Isn't it funny how the thoughts that we get lost in are generally not really happy, dreamy thoughts? They're actually what you have to do, or what you're worried about, or something that you said, or something that you want to heal. So now's the time to kind of tune in, because I'm going to talk about that in the middle. But here's the thing. There's a lot of energy when you go to tune in to your own energy, to your own space. There's a lot of people out there who don't want us to be aware of the games behind the scenes, and we're going to see them. The minute you become aware, you start to become aware of what is happening. So the reason that I'm bringing all this up today is because we are moving into an age of awareness, not on the physical plane, but on the metaphysical plane. We're in a super unique time where we are returning to our spirit, to our spiritual side. There was a time when everything was celebrated as energy. The Druids celebrated the earth and the cosmos and all of it. We have had many, many spiritual lifetimes, and we are returning to that space and bringing balance into the spirit. This is not about, I'm not talking about we're going to all die or ascend somewhere. Of course, somebody's going to say that. Somebody's going to say, we're ascending, we're going to drink the Kool-Aid. No, don't do that. Well, I mean, if you want to do that, but we're connecting as spirit, and psychic awareness is the wave of the future. I'm going to type that in the chat box. Psychic, I should have thought about this before. It's just a good psychic awareness is the wave of the future. There you go. You can have that, because I bring this up because there's so many unaware people. Oh my God, nobody should be getting behind the wheel of a car without their awareness, and yet they do. But we really need to open up to our psychic awareness. So what's it like in your world? What's your experience when you're more aware? And Julia, are you still here? I don't know if Julia's still here. Um, yeah, I can't tell. Anyway, um, yeah, anybody have thoughts on that? I know that when I'm more aware, I notice the things around me. So Richard's saying, I do feel that something out there tries to block from developing spiritually. Yep. That is why I truly believe a group setting where we can all talk about our experiences afterwards is really an important thing. Not to just kind of look at a book or read somebody's material, but that's why I try to get you to communicate, right? Because our communication is key. We have a hard enough time expressing ourselves as it is, so this is really important. Yeah. And Maria is saying it's true. We have to be more aware in order to differentiate between our intuition and things like personalized. Yes, yes. That's one of the best parts about psychic awareness is being able to, and that's something I teach in the clairvoyant development classes or actually any of the classes, is how to discern the truth from a lie. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever artificial intelligence has been around for so long. We just didn't recognize it as that. So that's about awareness, right? That's an awareness thing. Let's see. Fear controls people. Absolutely. 100%. 1,000%. And also, spirit is oneness. And the governments, the people, and it's not just governments, by the way. There's a lot of people or things that want to control. They want to control us, what we see, what we know, even what we can touch. So this is why I'm here, because this is a great platform that other people can happen upon. And you know it would be great if you haven't subscribed already. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's all kinds of links everywhere. In fact, I think in this corner there's a little subscribe link that you can just click on if you're watching this later. But all of this is bringing me to dimensional integration. What is that, you might ask? Has anybody heard of dimensional integration? I know you've heard of dimensional shifts because somebody brought that up last week. So this is all about dimensional integration. So drop your comments if you know what I'm talking about or you've ever heard of that. But after last week, when somebody brought up, they asked me, had I been feeling the dimensional shifts? And I thought to myself, and I thought, I've been experiencing something, and it's been sometimes a little bit difficult to ground, and the earth is all turned up, but it wasn't like I've experienced some really epic, incredible dimensional shifts that I was 100,000% aware of. I was so aware of what was happening, and it was so disconcerting because when you actually sort of shift from one timeline to another, it is if you're super aware, that can, like, talk about, Richard said, you said you're very sensitive. Shifting timelines like that really will set you off. You have to relearn how to ground. You have to relearn, kind of get in alignment with that new space. And everything is simultaneous anyway. So dimensions right there. Everything's sort of happening all at once, right? But after they asked me about the dimensional shift, um, I just realized it just didn't feel the same. And for the past, I would say 6 months, maybe a little more, but for months, I felt and expressed it to a couple of my colleagues that I had one foot in two worlds. And it was the strangest feeling. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It wasn't about grounding. It wasn't about running my energy. It wasn't about how many readings I was doing or classes I was teaching. It literally felt like I was bouncing back and forth between these two worlds. So after that was brought up to me, I thought, well, you know what? Now that it's been brought up, there is a space for it to be brought to light. And so I started looking at the energy. And much to my surprise, I saw something other than a shift. Tammy, you're just in time. Hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. I think it was you that brought up the dimensional shift last week. And so thank you for prompting me to go on, or the way I see it, go down the rabbit hole of clairvoyant looking at things. But after last week's show and Tammy bringing that up, and I was looking at it, and what I saw across the board with 100% certainty is not dimensional shift, but dimensional integration. So there's a difference between dimensional shift and dimensional integration. I'll go a little into that because it was fascinating. The one, just starting to look at it because Tammy asked me that question. Everything came clear. Why my feet felt like they were in two different worlds. Why, or four different worlds. Why things would happen. And I'm like, this isn't even in this phase. It's in a third phase. Right. And I started to remember that when I was younger, I experienced something that I used to call out of phase. I described it as feeling out of phase. I didn't know what that meant. I had no words to express what I was feeling. I just noticed things weren't right, or right in the way that I knew them. People, places, and things were out of phase. The experience felt a little bit like waking up. It was like a Twilight Zone episode for those of you who remember Twilight Zone, but it felt a little bit like jumping timelines where you just kind of wake up in a different place. And the more I was aware of it, and this is kind of growing up, but even throughout the years, the more I knew that I knew with every fiber of my being that if whatever shift it was that happened, or jumping timelines, skipping, jumping timelines even, if those had not happened, then other events would not have happened. So in some ways, and I don't necessarily believe in predestiny so much. We'll go into that another time. Maybe I'll go into that with Lewis. We're going to have a nice chat about being psychic also. But if these shifts had not happened, other events would not have happened. The trajectory, the direction changed, and suddenly you find yourself living in an alternate or a parallel universe. So here's what I'm talking about that I became aware of. And we're talking about, I want to say like, I always remember being sort of out of phase or in phase. I described it as that without words. And by the way, drop in the comments because there's a crazy delay on this thing. But drop in the comments if you've experienced any kind of major shifts, because I want to go into the shifts before the integration, because it's kind of interesting. But in August, I think of maybe 19, it's got to be maybe 1990, give or take. In August, and I remember the month super clearly, I felt this monumental shift. It was like the entire world fell off a cliff and landed somewhere else. And I kind of noticed it, and I regrounded and I got my space together. And it was interesting. I don't even remember what was happening in the news. I didn't look it up for today, but whatever happened in that year, it was this kind of monumental shift. And I knew that everything would be the same. I'm sorry, would change, would not be the same. Moving forward, when we entered the new year, which I think was, so I'm doing the math, but I'm sure I'm wrong. It might be 1991. In February, my father, who had several heart attacks, quadruple bypass, and all of that, was on the heart transplant list. And in February of the next year, he got a new heart. He had a heart transplant. And I remember really clearly sitting in the hospital waiting for the heart to come in, because they bring it in a little igloo cooler. But I remember thinking about that shift, and I knew that the reason he was getting that heart right then, can't tell you how I knew, but I just 100% certainty knew that had we not had that shift, this would not be happening. His heart transplant was directly related to the shift. Amazing. This time, what I'd been experiencing, prompted by Tammy, was I saw that this is our 5D dimensional integration. Interesting. Yeah, insomnia for several days in the last month, having hyper realistic dreams. Yep, that exactly. This is all a part of it. This is all a part of it. And by the way, very interesting, there was another shift. So with my dad, after he had his heart transplant, and this is kind of interesting because in November, 10 years later, well, I guess 9 years later, I felt another direct shift. And almost exactly to the day of the heart transplant, my father transitioned. My father died. Almost 10 years to the date exactly. And I realized that's what would have happened had he not gotten the heart 10 years before. And he died from the same heart issue that he had before he had the transplant. So in other words, the brand new heart that kept ticking for 10 years, it was, so it's interesting to take note. But this time it's different because this is an integration. We're not shifting dimensions. Richard, you mentioned this earlier. We are integrating all the timelines and the parallels. We're coming out of two-ness or three-ness or five-ness or however many dimensions there are, and we are coming into oneness. It's like everything is colliding in that space, body and spirit, heaven and earth. Everything is coming together. And as these timelines come together, it's showing up in the physical. Many people are making job or career changes. They want to be in alignment with their companies instead of just having a career. They want something that fulfills their purpose or their soul. So that's a lot of kind of what's happened. Um, Tammy, you experienced a shift around 1982, 1984? Soft shift, but both TVs on different floors changed channels. How crazy. See? Yes, and we can notice it in the physical. It does, we do notice it in the physical. But right now, everybody, if you've been, mm, well, this is interesting. You may be feeling like you're taking a step up in your awareness as we're going through this right now, this integration, or you could be noticing where you're not aware. So that's something. You might have vivid dreams, or you might have insomnia and feel like you're living within the dream. And by the way, we're living in a dream that's a dream that's a dream. But when things begin to feel really surreal and you're feeling something is off or out of phase, all of this is playing out right now. But think about any kind of integration. If we're integrating sort of timelines or whatever, what I started to notice with the energy when I was looking at it is that's even why the earth is all stirred up. I noticed I got so much information this week, even the submarine thing that happened, right, was a part of this kind of parallel coming together of dimensions where the Titanic was playing out in one arena, right? Everything wasn't there a movie, Everything All at Once or something like that? But that's how it works. Yeah. And if you want a higher shift for yourself, one of the things you have to do is, really commit to that meditation and all of that. Actually, Peter, thank you so much for being here. Seeing a lot of 1111s. I say angel time, 444, 1111. Those are all angel numbers for me. And Peter, you are super sensitive to what's going on. In fact, you know what? You messaged me the other day without realizing it as I was thinking about this. But we are really in a space of integrating, even with the climate change, all of that, the earth. So Tammy was feeling maybe a step up. She's seeing a lot of angel numbers. Yeah, there's a lot of angel numbers. There's a lot of, one of the things about noticing, the clock or noticing these areas of energy is that actually then we're in present time, because we have to look at the clock, right? We're looking at the clock. We see 11:11. It brings us into present time. So whether it's an angel number or some other number that has meaning for you, isn't that great? When you start to see that, because that is you. And of course, I was talking before about the psychic awareness. Yeah. So we're in a great time of integration, and what we're seeing as these and by the way, I am pretty sure when I looked at the energy that right around Tuesday or Wednesday, at least sort of these two dimensions may have come together. I just seem to experience a big sort of shift within me, and again, it was very different, but it was more of an integration. So I think that we're all integrating as the dimensions do, And yeah, and that's it. That is the veil. There's a veil. There's don't see beyond this point. Won't it be amazing when we can see and know, kind of have an awareness that is all encompassing? Yeah, it's really something. A lot of ear buzzing. So ear buzzing is actually transmediumship come to life. What do I mean by that? So there are spirit guides out there, but there's all kinds of angels and guides, but there's all kinds of spirit beings. And there's many kinds of types of spirit beings, just like people, right? So a lot of times they'll communicate by, it sounds like a little buzzing in your ear. So, Tammy, what I would say is when that happens, say hello to whatever's trying to communicate with you and ask them just to kind of step off and to be more clear and see if you get a message. And then message me immediately and tell me the fun stuff that you heard or recognized, because that's really something, because everything is stepping up. Transmediumship is is stepping up. Let's see, left is male, right is female. um so I know that a little bit differently. The left side is actually the female and the right is the male. I don't know how it is if it's buzzing. I think they can talk to you in either ear, but in spirit there's really no kind of gender. It's all right. It's light. It's consciousness. But I don't know. I'll look into that, because look what rabbit hole I went down, Tammy, when you just asked me if I felt dimensional shifts, and now I felt dimensional integrations, and that's what we're talking about here. So, I am willing to go down that rabbit hole as well, and I will actually have a look at that if they maybe communicate in that same way. So yeah, I'd like to know. And Peter is saying, yes, high frequency sounds. Yep, you are. Anybody who is hearing things. This all comes from the fifth chakra in our throat. And the fifth chakra is all forms of communication, our clairaudience, our clear hearing, our telepathy. All of those channels come from that fifth chakra. Yeah. So even if it's clogged or it's buzzing, that's some place that in your meditation you can maybe clear out that space so that you can hear it more clearly. In Peter's case, Peter is connected with some beings off planet, and so there would be some very high frequency. So yeah, congratulations. So I think it's great. This is what is happening. We're integrating dimensions. We're integrating all of this. And it's really why I, again, want to bring this up is there seems to be a lot of hopelessness in the world. And as I mentioned earlier with the psychic awareness, there's a tremendous amount of light coming in. So for those out there who are listening, who have got this far, thank you so much for watching or popping on a little bit later. But if you're losing hope that we really are divided and we're seeing it play out in the world. And what we are seeing is that as these dimensions and as we integrate, because there's really only one dimension. Yeah. And what we're seeing in this sort of integration into oneness is the fear from those who are losing power. There's no power play or no anything above others in oneness. It just is. Peter, I don't know if you noticed this comment here, but Tammy says, Peter, do your friends have room for me? I love it. I love it. That's great. That's great. So, yes. This is what is happening in the world. Yes, of course, there's dimensional shifts, but look at it as dimensional integration with, as Richard said, a thinning of the veils, um, and just recognize that we are coming into the oneness of spirit, no power plays. And we're beginning to see the truth. And what you're going to see, there might be kind of an amping up, and that's why we're seeing these kind of big divides. But just have hope that what is happening is all the karma is coming out and clearing. All of the, let's say, the darkness, or whatever you want to call it, the dust is settling, and the light is coming into the world. And just let this unfold like this lotus flower that we call life, and just let it open to the sun. Allow yourself to be in that space. And I know all of you who are sensitive, who are on here, who are listening, I appreciate you all, sticking with it, because I want to give you these tools to help you get through. Yeah. So just let the lotus flower bloom. And Richard says it's hard to keep our vibrations up with so many distractions. Yes, that is the earmark of the people who are in fear, who don't want to let this happen. There's all kinds of distractions. And so think of it like a practice, not a perfect. I say that in all my classes, that, practicing psychic awareness, having your psychic awareness, it's a practice, not a perfect. I say it in every single one of my classes. And, so it's, yes, that's why you come here on a Friday and get a reset or visit a meditation. I do lots of free stuff, not just there, but you can go to I don't know what the web address is, but you can get free guided meditations on my website. You can go to that QR code I'm pointing at right there and grab some, giving you the resources so that when you get overwhelmed, when you get distracted, that you have a meditation, or you have some tools. Many of our problems, many of our challenges have more to do with not knowing how and what to process out. So you are very welcome, Tammy. I'm glad that you said it, because honestly, it was so interesting to look and see an integration when I saw myself stepping into these two worlds. And I saw even the center of the earth. I saw the center of the earth like colliding almost. And that's why there's so many earthquakes and the weather patterns are changing. It was amazing that it just suddenly everything fell into place. So thank you. That's what psychics being about, is going down these fun rabbit holes. And Peter, I so appreciate you and all that you are, and I am happy to help. And look, speaking of that lotus flower, so I used that. It's funny because I knew I wanted to use that because that's what it reminded me of, is a lotus flower blooming, right? That we're coming out of the mud. And a lotus flower, that beautiful flower that is, so well known in the, kind of yoga communities and all over in the Asian centers and things like that. It just represents, things that bloom, that come out of the mud. And so I thought I would go down another little rabbit hole, as we're talking about just sort of letting and understanding the integration. But this is super interesting. And this comes from, I think the website was earth.com. even though I'm like the farmer's almanac girl. This came from earth.com. So, lotus flower seeds, and I did not know this, the life cycle of the lotus begins with seeds, right? Like everything else. The seeds are small and black and come from the flower. But the lotus plant actually adapts so that it can grow from the murky, muddy ponds to the sunny riverbanks. And a lotus produces a large number of seeds, which they release, so that they increase the chances of at least a few seeds finding the ideal conditions to survive and bloom. Does this sound familiar for those of you here? Lotus seeds are very durable and can remain viable for years. I actually didn't know that. But this allows the plant to survive even harsh conditions that would kill most other plants. Well, I find it interesting that each and every one of you here has said that you're sensitive, or energy has affected you, and you can be overwhelmed and all of that, but you're surviving. You're finding your tribes. We are all here finding each other. I mean, you're here from all over the world. And Peter, I don't know, remember sort of where I initially met you. Let's say Richard and Tammy, through Michael Arrington, and so on, and Angela. And my mom is still here. I don't know if she's still watching, but hi, Mom. But isn't it interesting? We talk about that lotus, and I think that really also describes the path of a mystic, the path of a psychic, the path of a sensitive, an empath, or a healer. And think about it, survival for that lotus, right, is about planting so many seeds. Isn't that what we're doing here? So give yourself a breath and say hello to that dimensional integration and your own integration. Because that's where we are. We're integrating body and spirit, heaven and earth, bridging that space. It's amazing. Allow that dimensional integration. Just notice what plays out in the world and what is playing out within you. Just allow all that integration to happen with no resistance as we come out of the mud to bloom and grow. We're gonna come out of the mud. So how's that for some information about, kind of where we are? And many of you are feeling it already. So while I might have done a little more of a deep dive, each and every one of you is feeling it in some way, shape, or form, that things feel a little off, but different, but it's not. And again, there still are shifts, but notice what's a shift in energy versus an integration. There's a difference. One is taking one thing to another place, and then this, lots to think about. Fun things to think about. It's really an exciting time that we're in, even if it doesn't always feel that way. So just allow those. I just love that about the lotus, that it says, you know what, I'm just gonna plant a million seeds and let's see what grows. I love that. That's probably what just about every energy worker is doing out here these days, is planting seeds, so we see what arises. So if you're just joining us, I'm Debbie Tatel from Spirit Light Insight. Welcome. We are about to take a journey into our closing meditation and reset. And I encourage you, with all the information that just came out, to really stay for this, because it will integrate. It will integrate the information. It will give you some space to have some clarity within you. And you are very welcome, Tammy. Thank you, honestly. But this will help you reset and enjoy your weekend. For those of you in Canada, I'll say it again. Happy Canada Day tomorrow. And, we'll get to more of that. But why don't we take a few moments to reflect on the past week and then call our energy back, because we have a lot of energy and attention. I had to call it back out of my router. I think my new router is doing okay, huh, folks? I think it's I think it's been great. So give yourselves a breath and just put your feet on the floor and just relax. If you haven't, if you're not in that space already, if you're out doing something, just have a seat with your feet on the floor and close your eyes and give yourself a breath. Just begin to tune in. Lots got lit up today, but lots also got released. Gently close your eyes or turn your gaze downward and center yourself in your awareness. Notice the thoughts running through your head and just let them be there. And just recognize there's nothing wrong, there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to change, that you can just be exactly who you are, as you are, for the next few minutes. And as you're centered in your awareness, I'd like you to take note in the center of your head. Just imagine that there's a space there where you're fully in charge of your life, in charge of your dreams, in charge of your energy, your direction, your purpose. And you don't even have to know what those things are. Just imagine a room that's all for you, that feels safe and secure. And in your mind's eye, go ahead and pull up a nice easy chair or a throne or a nice, in the middle of a forest, bamboo chair or tree stump. And in the center of your head, just begin to settle into that space. As you're centered in your awareness, say hello to that, the base of your spine where your first chakra is, that space of safety and security, space of identity. And just be right here and now in a safe space as you are. And then imagine that you are connected by a beautiful oak tree. You can flatten the top and connect that right at the base of your spine and feel the sturdy trunk of the tree that goes all the way down to the center of the earth, where it gets rooted. Imagine saying hello to the center of the earth and see if you get a hello back. Mother Earth is here to support you, support your journey. And just begin to start this process of letting go. You can just give yourself a breath, and as you exhale, notice a flow of energy moving down your grounding cord all the way to the center of the planet, where it gets recycled and goes back to where it came from. And just notice that flow like a waterfall, just moving away from you, and just feel supported by Mother Earth. Let go of any communications or anything that takes you out of the present moment. And just be right here and now, and begin to notice the consciousness of the planet and the light that is coming in. It's interesting that if you're in the US, we're going into the 4th of July holiday weekend, and freedom was won through war and resistance. But spiritual freedom, the freedom to shine and be who you are, has nothing to do with resistance. Give yourself a breath and begin to reflect on any place where you begin to, or where you notice resistance. Maybe there's a person or a situation. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory or something you saw online. You might resist a person or the world or politics or something in your life. And just gently begin to release and let go of that resistance, whatever it is. Now, this is not to say you have to accept what you're resisting or just be a victim to it. What it means is you're releasing the energy so that you have clarity and strength and courage and safety to move forward as you wish within that space, so that you have the power to stand up for yourself and not be a victim. So give yourself a breath and just begin to release any resistance. Oh, there you go. That was good. The beauty of resistance, non-resistance, I should say, is that we become the observer, as I was referring to earlier in the psychic awareness section. In fact, our resistance is a lot of what keeps us from our true spiritual nature, from the oneness of spirit. Because we resist if we're sensitive and there's energies that overwhelm. We resist if it feels like somebody's coming at us or attacking us, rather than just letting it go right through and just owning our space. So give yourself a breath and free yourself, because the minute you let go, you free yourself. And notice the difference. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice that connection. Notice how much more grounded and centered you are just from releasing this. When you free yourself, you actually create a ripple of change that goes around the world. And it all begins with you. Give yourself a breath and notice that connection. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice your physical body and the glow of wholeness and restoration. And just rest your attention once again in the center of your head, centered in your awareness. And just begin to get a sense of being whole and complete as you are. And now imagine a beautiful gold sun above your head, filled with light and life and joy and enthusiasm. And begin to call back any energy that you gave away, any people that you were still healing or helping this week. Just call back all your energy wherever you gave it away and notice how much is coming back. And watch as that gold sun just grows and grows above your head. It's glowing. Begin to feel the warmth from that gold sun as you also not just call your energy back, but fill it with some things that you would like to have moving forward, some energies. Maybe you'd like some happiness, or maybe you'd like some peace and calm. Maybe you'd like some, even you can even put in there some alone time, or maybe you just want an ice cream bar, or you want just a little break. Maybe you want some enthusiasm. Just fill that gold sun. And then go ahead and just bring that right in through the top of your head, filling you up, filling up that crown chakra and your whole head. Fill up your shoulders and your arms, those creative channels. Fill up your chest and belly and hips. Fill up your legs and feet. And just really notice that as you're filling up with this energy, it's clearing at the same time. The gold suns don't just replenish, but they also neutralize energies that you're holding on to. So give yourself a breath and just let that gold sun expand the joy, the joyousness and enthusiasm of life. Just let that expand until it starts to come out your pores, filling up your aura until you're sitting in a bubble of golden light. Refreshed, renewed, and then slowly bring your attention back to your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes and just give yourself a nice deep breath and slowly exhale. Once again, wiggle your fingers and toes and move around. And you might even want to take a big stretch and bend over, dump out, shake out your neck and shoulders. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and return to yourself. Notice how much more present you are and how grounded you are. Congratulations. That's amazing. And while you're coming back, just look around your room. Marianne, thanks for tuning in. I hope you stay for the whole meditation. That's great. Thank you so much. But just begin to get reacclimated. I hope you enjoyed that particular meditation as we let go of some of the resistance that we experience. A lot of it's not even our own. A lot of it belongs to other people, and we hold on to it, or we even resist their resistance. Energy is a kind of a funny thing, but I hope you enjoy what we're creating here, what I'm creating here. And I appreciate and thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for your support, for you showing up. It's indeed a pleasure to do this guidance. You can support the stream, as I mentioned. You can support if you are so inclined. You can aim your phone at that, offer a virtual tip, or at the little corner here. Please subscribe. That's right here in the corner here if you're not already subscribed. If you'd like a reading, please visit my website, spiritlightinsight.com. We've got stuff coming up. If you're interested in reading, meditation, classes, or workshops, or clairvoyant development, um, I love it. Thanks as always, feeling more grounded. Yes, congratulations, Richard. I was hoping because you said you had your last day of school. So congratulations for getting that started. Um, when is my chat with Lewis? We haven't scheduled it yet, but we're absolutely gonna get. What are we talking about? Oh, we're going to be talking about clarity as a blessing or a curse. Sorry for me looking down, but I've got like all my papers and notes like down on the floor there. So we're going to chat about that. We don't have that done yet. We're on the phone way too long today. We have so much fun. He would have come on tonight, but he had other plans. So I will mention. Uh, I will mention it. Peter, love having you here. It's amazing. I love having each and every one of you here. It means the world to me. If you're in the US, have a safe and joyful 4th of July holiday, but just absolutely be safe. For everyone else, it's summertime here. It's wintertime on the other side of the world. So enjoy wherever you are. Have a wonderful weekend, and moving forward, and just look for the next live because we'll be doing that soon. It might not even be a TGIF. I think we might be doing an impromptu promptu rendezvous. I don't know. That might happen. But for now, it's been an honor guiding you today. So always remember, keep your spirit light in sight, and always remember to shine your light. Bye for now.